know the one that's one too many. Welcome to Simplified Sparky Marketing. Today is episode 101 of the Simplified Sparky podcast. So I want to take a second to reflect and actually thank all of you listeners that have been listening throughout the years, last 2 years. A lot of you are 10-foot tall Teresas that have started with one episode and gone right back to the start and just devoured them, implemented, and some of you have told me that you've made money that I'm not even working with, and that's cool. I love that. I love hearing that. I love hearing that I've given back and somebody has done something or implemented something into their electrical business and it's working and it came from this podcast, and I absolutely love that. What I would advise you to do is grab a beer, grab a coffee if you are to go back, and sit down, chill out, grab a notepad or use your notes function on your phone and take notes, because knowing and not doing is the same thing as not knowing. Because if you put some stuff into your head and you say you'll do that later on, you won't. And that's coming from experience as well. I went through a stage of business where I just was pumping my head full of business podcasts, business books and all of that. And my brain started getting sick. I was just like, it wouldn't hold any capacity. And what I was listening to at the time, it would go in one ear and out the other. And I actually had to step back from a lot of stuff and just minimize the amount of stuff that I was listening to and actually listen to stuff that I wanted to implement into my business. And that's what I did. And that's what I advise you do, is cut out all the other podcasts that you listen to for 1 week, go through my podcast and take notes of what you want to implement. And then the following week, implement them into your business. And there you go. You've got a free mentor. That's what I advise you to do, because I know a lot of people will do that. They'll just go on passing, they'll listen to the podcast, not take notes, and they'll kind of remember something I said, but they won't actually fully remember. So just a heads up. But yeah, I want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you. And I had the surreal opportunity this last week where I was up in Dublin for the Inside Strip Back podcast with Stephen and Keith. And it was fantastic to meet the guys and jump on their podcast live, my first live podcast in studio. And I would advise anybody to check out that podcast as well. It's called Inside Strip Back Podcast, and it is everything and anything, but a lot of trade influence in it. But there's also other stuff as well, so it's quite interesting. So into today's podcast. Today's podcast is about the drink driver style clients. Where that comes from was I was doing one of the videos for the mentorship and I had this analogy come into my head. And I thought, like, what is a shit client like? And I said, a shit client is like a drink driver. The drink driver goes to the pub. He will have, let's just say, 10 drinks and he will drive home, not a problem. He has done it numerous times. He's successfully made it home. And why not drink drive? If it works, I can have my drinks, jump in the car, drive home. It's sweet. It's fine. And those kind of people, there's no change in their minds and they're set because it's like, fuck it worked. So why can't I do it again? And like, you might go to somebody's house, they may have out-of-date smoke alarms, they may have no RCDs in the switchboard, and you're black and blue in the face trying to say to them, is like, this is why you need to upgrade your switchboards, your RCDs, your earthing, your surge protection, your whatever, smoke alarms. And they're like, nah, I don't. And you're like, you do. And they're like, well, look, I've been living here the last 30 years and we've never had any issues. And it's like, those kind of people that even though you've tried your level best to educate them, they don't listen to you, your opinion, or why you should do it. And that's just a bad client. And look, sometimes they may need extra educating on it. But I think if you're black and blue in the face from educating them on how they should change it and they still don't go ahead with it, sometimes you just have to walk away, give them a quotation for whatever it was you emphasized about, put it in black and white, send it across to them. Therefore, if anything does happen, you've got your ass covered that you did do your due diligence and you did tell them what was wrong, and you've got proof of that you did try and attempt to rectify and make that safe. Where these drink driver style clients come from or why they come to your business is something you're doing wrong. It is something you're doing wrong in your marketing or your messaging that's attracting these style of clients. Because your website messaging is one of the most important things. Not even your website, all your socials, everything. Your messaging is the number one thing that's going to attract and repel ideal and shit clients. And it's up to you to perfect your messaging. It's something I'm very, very stringent on, is having the correct messaging on your website to attract the correct style of client. And just this week, I received an email from one of the guys on the email list, and he was wondering about his own website and stuff. I went through it quickly and I pinpointed like several things that were wrong with the website, but one thing in particular was the messaging and the style of messaging that was on it. The style of messaging and wording is going to attract cheaper, inferior clients. And he now knows that. I hope he's going to fix it and get it sorted out and get better clients, because that's where they come from. Is you drop the ball when attracting them, and you are then bringing them into your business. They're wasting your time. You're scratching your head wondering why you're getting these clients, because it's something you're doing wrong, or maybe your presence, you don't look professional and you need to tidy it up. You need authority. You need to look professional. But the double-edged sword of this is some electricians are drink driver electricians. And I had a guy message me, and look, I'm trying to help him, and he came to me wondering what was going on, or like, he's tried this, he's tried that, but he's getting no leads. And to start with, he doesn't have a website. So I said to him, I goes, look, firstly, you'll need a website, and secondly, what I would do is jump on my email list and get the information that you need. It will open up your eyes, open up your mind to what you need to do to structure your website and just basically the flywheel of your business. And he then proceeded to ignore that and then ask about how much it costs to do a website with my referral. So I told him, he thought it was crazy, which in my opinion, if I was in his stage of business, well, I probably think that. But the thing is, exact same thing as the drink driver clients, that person has now got the mindset of, I don't need it. But it's like, you do need it. You do need a quality website. I don't build websites. I give my members a referral to a reputable company that I know, like, and trust, and I know they're going to do a good job, and I know they're going to build it correctly. They're going to build it once, and you're going to be done. And his attitude to that was, I'll just have a crack off with myself. And that's the exact same thing as the DIY homeowner going, it's just an RCD, I'll pop it in myself. I get it. I've been there. I always circle back to when I begun my business, and I was a tight ass. Like, everything was being skimped on. But you must look at these kind of things as an investment in your business. You spend all this money on tools and the best of gear and like the latest gizmo that Milwaukee are bringing out, but you won't spend a couple of grand on a website. You'll rather have a crack off it yourself. And it's funny because your leads are coming from your marketing efforts, like your website. If your website looks like a 6-year-old made it, or your 16-year-old niece or something like that has made your website, and you don't have the heart in you to say, it's a shocking website, we're going to have to change it. Sorry, I'm going to hurt your feelings here. You need to do that. You need to step up and say, that website that you made me last year, it doesn't cut it anymore. We had a crack off it, but it's not working. That is what I want to kind of get across, is like that mentality stems across to electricians as well. And I think it needs to be shaken out to basically see like what is an investment and what's an expense. But I can guarantee you, your marketing efforts are all an investment, because you might spend a couple of grand on something, and if it returns you 5, 6, 7, 8 times that investment, that's basically ROI. It's like if you fire bullets and you hit the target, start firing cannons. The number one thing that annoyed me with that person that reached out about the website was, I tried to help him by getting him education on the email series, and he didn't acknowledge it, he didn't do it. And I'm telling you right now, even if you're listening to the podcast, that is exactly why you are where you are now. It's people that I tell them to do something and they implement. That's how they win. That's how they exceed. Is I've gone this pathway before a lot of people. I've made a lot of mistakes, and that was one of them, was skimping out on a website. I built about 4 websites, wasted so much money on it. So the poor man paid twice. The poor man paid 4 times. So this is what I'm trying to say, is like, I've done that. So don't do what I've done. If you are curious on the podcast with myself on the Inside Strip Back, I'll actually link it in the show notes below. It will be repurposed back onto my channel in a little bit. It will be on this podcast as well. I'll put the audio on it of my recording, and it will also be going live on the YouTube channel as well. I've got the full video of it. If you're more of a visual person, you like to have a squiz at that. Other than that, all the links are in the bio, and I will catch you next week.